I would like to think that things haven't changed since I was given visitation rights to the pulpit. But in a sense, they have worsened. The electorate in many countries, particularly in America, has been dumbed down by the worst elements of radio and television, where a single opinion spouter, an oracle, is on the air speaking daily to millions of people and poisoning their minds. I think that in the very nature of television as compared to radio, there are great discrepancies. For example, there was no term in radio that is equivalent to couch potato or boob tube, because the radio listener had to collaborate with what he was hearing, as one collaborates with the author of a book when you're reading the book. You don't have any visual distractions. The set design is in your head. You cast the characters. You might be listening to an opera, let's say Carmen, the antagonist and protagonist at the same time being a dangerously beautiful woman who dances a fiery Spanish dance with a rose in her teeth. But in radio, she can weigh 500 pounds. Your image of her is that of a dangerously beautiful woman. Actually, the ear is the organ through which we perceive the subtlest of the arts, which is music. And when you think of the great giants of musical history, Beethoven, Brahms, Bach, Tchaikovsky, all of those masters, there's not a visual frame in any of their hours of work. There's greatness. It's the majesty, which is a mysterious medium. I think that the literalness of television has been damaging, in that 5 o'clock shadow on a candidate can lose an election, as it did with Nixon on his first debate with Kennedy.
Episode 11 of Forecast, broadcast from Hollywood on August 19, 1940, was called Double Feature. 2 plays split the half hour. The first one was a lighthearted sequel to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, called Ever After, written by Keith Fowler.
But, darling, there's one thing we've forgotten. If you go away, who'll take care of the kingdom?
Oh, that's easy. I'll appoint Grumpy and Doc and the rest of the dwarfs to act for me. Grumpy can be the executioner. He'll like that. Hey, Grumpy?
I don't give a hang.
And Doc can be Speaker of the Speaker of the House.
That's wonderful. And Sleepy can be First Lord of the Bedchamber.
And Happy can be the Court Jester.
And Sneezy can be the court physician.
And Bashful can wait on the ladies in waiting.
But Dopey... What can poor Dopey do?
That is a problem, my dear.
I have it. Dopey can be the prince.
The second, To Tim at 20, was an incredibly powerful spoken account of a letter being written by a man at war just before battle, addressed to his son 15 years in the future. It starred Charles Laughton and was written by a 30-year-old Norman Corwin.
It is the hour before dawn in the barracks of an RAF squadron on the northeast coast of England. Gunner Marshall, who is leaving at dawn on a mission from which there can be no return, is writing a letter.
Dear Tim, tomorrow I'm leaving here to do some special work. And will be gone quite some time. So I decided I would write to you before I lose track of what it was I've been wanting to tell you. First, let me wish you a very happy 20th birthday. In doing so, I'm a little matter of 15 years ahead of myself, for at this writing, unless I've counted wrong, you are 5 years and 3 weeks old. You mustn't criticize your mother for being late with the mails, because it's not her fault. I made a special point of asking her not to deliver this letter to you until you were 20, because I wanted to talk to you man to man, and not as father to son. I didn't want your mind to be wandering off to cricket scores, the latest mystery mover, or the ice cream man, which is what usually happens when a father talks seriously to his boy. Tim, The fact of the matter is that you know more about the world at 20 than I've any way of knowing at twice your age. And you ought to be telling me things, not I you. By the time you read this yellowing page, you'll have a much better report on the longitude and latitude of civilization than anybody around here can give out today. Frankly, we fellas just don't know where we're going. You at least can see where we've been.
Corwin had been at CBS for 2 years in August of 1940. Forecast helped open eyes and ears to his potential as a writer, producer, and director. He was a man who understood that, by August of 1940, most of the world was at war, and it wouldn't be long before America had no choice but to enter the conflict. Here was also a man whose writing always combined a sense of a deeply progressive future with that of a nostalgic past. He intrinsically understood how people actually communicated with each other and how they aspired to. It was fitting that Laughton would be the man to star in this piece. He had been gassed and lost part of his leg in combat during World War I.
Tim, I hope you men of the second half of this poor century have sense enough to develop a fuller appreciation of women. Not that your forefathers didn't love them, for they did. But our sex has done all the swaggering and made all the big decisions and pretty much taken over the running of the earth. And we haven't made out any too well, according to the tally sheets. Rather badly, in fact. Can you imagine the female of the species doing worse? Can you fancy a diplomacy of women, trafficking in sons and husbands? Well, I can't, and I doubt if you can. Because there must come a special understanding of the dignity of life to those who grow it in their vitals. There are several kinds of valor, Timothy, and the least is the kind that comes out of the hysteria of battle. Courage is not a stag affair, you know. While I'm on that subject, let me tell you another story about your mother. The week before you were born, I watched for signs of apprehension that had been warning of grave risks, and I was wondering whether she perhaps was afraid.
I will give my love a heart without a door.
Ellen.
Yes?
You all right, dear?
Now, what makes you ask that? Is my singing so bad?
No. On the contrary, it's delightful. I just... Go on, darling.
I'm feeling very well.
Good. Is there not anything I can do for you, darling? Don't you want a hot water bottle or something?
No. I'm all right.
Well, if there is anything you want, I mean to say if anything bothers you...
Nothing's bothering me, darling, but I know what's bothering you.
What?
You think I'm afraid, don't you?
Don't be silly.
You think I'm afraid something might happen.
Please, Ellen.
You see? You don't even want me to say it, do you? You're a typical nervous father. You know, the kind they draw in cartoons, when the door opens and the nurse sticks her head out and says, "Were you expecting anybody?"
That's not very funny.
No, it's a bit on the sad side, isn't it?
Sad side? What?
That fathers should be more nervous about children coming into the world than about the kind of world their children will live in once they're here.
What have you been reading lately, darling?
Newspapers.
Oh.
Listen, I'd like you to understand something. There's nothing unique about having a child. It's a simple, everyday business.
Yes, of course.
So don't sentimentalize about my being courageous. I'm no more courageous than 50 million Chinese peasant women and a lot better taken care of.
But just the same, darling, it does call for a little nerve, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. Risks in everything, if you want to look at it that way. Crossing a street calls for nerve. From the standpoint of accident figures...
I still say it takes a good deal of grit to go through what you're going through.
Oh, yes, women are brave, all right. But we're brave individually. You men tramp up and down in hordes and sing marching songs, but there's no band playing when a woman has a baby.
That's true enough.
Sometimes I think it's just too bad that all the mothers in the world don't get together and do something with the sum total of their pain. Like getting hold of their menfolk and saying, how dare you destroy our work?
Well, of course...
And the wicked thing about it is that there are so many good people in this world. The vast majority of all populations are decent, and yet things can get into a frightful mess for everybody. Stupid, isn't it?
Yes, I see what you mean, darling.
I will give my love.
I see what you mean, dear. It's, yes, well...
I will give my love a paradise. I will give my love a palace wherein.
In the summer of 1940, it was August 19th, 1940. I was staying with my mother and my aunt in Hollywood, on Central Avenue. My mother went to visit somebody at the beach, and I decided to go to the opening of a market on Gordon Street. And in those days, when a market opened, there were Klieg lights and movie stars and big shows, and I went to see the fun. I wanted to see the celebrities. So I went up there, and nothing much was happening. There weren't many celebrities, and I got a little bored, and I walked down Sunset Boulevard toward Columbia Square. That's at Gower and Sunset. And as I was walking down the street, I see this little elderly lady, a character actress named Jane Morgan. Wonderful actress. And I saw her coming down the street, and I realized that at 10 o'clock, this is very strange for any actor or actress to be coming into a radio studio. It isn't strange at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock when you start your rehearsals. But 10 o'clock was rather different, so I was curious. She went in, I followed her into the inner lobby, which there is no longer at Columbia Square. It's all cemented in, it's different. And she went into the left, into the inner lobby, and sat down, and where I saw people, I knew who they were. They didn't know me, but I knew that was Bob Burleson, and that was Jerry Hausner, and that was sitting there with scripts in their hands, and I knew immediately what that was. They were sitting with scripts in their laps in the lobby. It was an audition. So I went in and sat down. A few minutes later, a man comes out who is an assistant radio director named Sterling Tracy. He had known my face from hanging around CBS all the time, from becoming sort of an accoutrement there. He would hand me tickets like in the Men in the Street shows. Here, you had tickets and you hand them to the people who said, yes, my name is John Smith and I like so-and-so. And there I was a part of radio even in those days. Just a kid. So he knew the face. He didn't even remember my name. But I had put my name in a radio directory. That was, I think, Lou Loria in those days put out a radio directory. I put my face and my picture and all the credits I had done in New York, you know. All these. So Tracy comes out of the inner lobby and he walks up and he looks at me and I look at him and I says, you know, Trace, I says, I wasn't called for this part. He says, yeah, I know. He says, I didn't know you were an actor. But he said, yeah, I do remember I saw your picture in that book, but I didn't register. He said, you want to take a crack at this Charlie part? He says, yeah. She says, okay, I'll go back and I'll get this script. Now he brings back the script and I see the script. I think I registered this thing. It was a show called Forecast. The story was of Bethel Merriday. The part was Charlie Hatch, which he told me Charlie Hatch. It's page 18. I'll read it over. And it's Charlie and the girlfriend Bethel.
The week after Double Feature, on August 26, 1940, Norman Corwin directed a pilot called Bethel Merriday, based on the 1940 novel written by Sinclair Lewis. It was adapted for Forecast by Helen Deutsch. The radio play starred Howard Da Silva as Mr. Keyser, Margaret Sullivan as Bethel, and a debuting 17-year-old Byron Kane as Charlie Hatch.
My name is Keyser. Doc Keyser, they call me, though I'm no doctor. These radio people here have asked me to tell you the story of Bethel Merriday, but I don't rightly know where to begin. Bethel's a star now, and let me add, a fine actress, which isn't always the same thing. Ask anybody today who the leading young stage actresses are. The answer is Helen Hayes, Catherine Cornell, and Bethel Merriday. Exactly where the whole thing started is hard to say. Maybe long before Bethel was born in the blood of some Merriday ancestor. Maybe it began in Mr. Fossfinder's drugstore back in 1931, when Bethel was still in high school.
What'll it be, girls?
Jumbo malted milk.
What's yours, Princess? Hey, what are you having, beautiful?
Bear Bethel, wake up. What are you going to have?
What? Oh, I don't care anything.
When she's in this mood, you can give her kerosene ipecac sundae and she won't know the difference. Bethel!
Oh, I'll have a maple nut sundae.
Okay.
Hello, Charlie.
Hello, Bethel. Hello, Alva.
Move over, Bethel. Sit down here, Charlie. We just saw the most wonderful movie.
It was called The Heart of an Understudy.
The understudy didn't have a friend in the world. She was an orphan, and Frank Chateau, he kept carrying her suitcase.
And then one night the star of the play lay dying. And the understudy played the star's part.
And then she married a banker's son. He was filthy with money. She just moved right out to Long Island.
But you had to win over his mother first.
Oh, the mother was awful. She was so refined. That dress she had on when she played the leading part must have cost $1,000. I didn't like it, though. Did you, Bethel? Did you, huh? Did you like that rhinestone dress? Bethel, I'm talking to you.
Oh, she's in one of her million-mile-away moods.
You want to know something?
What?
I'm going to be a stage actress. Like that understudy in the picture.
Look who's talking.
You serious?
I certainly am.
Bethel, there aren't any stage actresses anymore. All that old-fashioned junk.
Plays.
Here's my 15 cents. I don't think I want any more of my ice cream. I'm going home, I think. So long.
Did you ever? Now she's sore.
No. No, she's not. That's never sore. She's just, excuse me, Alva. Guess I'll run along. Bye. Goodbye. I gotta get along.
And I walk in, and I see this lady standing opposite the microphone. It was a lady named Lucille Meredith. I knew immediately who she was. She was a very active radio actress from New York, and she's been out here. I knew all of it. She had a very throaty voice, deeper than Lauren Bacall's. She was there standing opposite the microphone, and I walked up, and there, and I nodded. And I could think Tracy said, "This is Byron Kane." And then he went into the control booth where there were about 5 or 6 people. And I said, "Okay, Trace, where do I start?" It was a microphone just like this. And he said, "Well, I'm not conducting the audition." He says, "Mr. Corwin is." It sort of rang a bell. I knew Corwin was he was a director, radio director, big radio. And I said, "How you doing?" He said, "Okay." He says, "All right." He says, "Go ahead, Kane." And we start, Bethel and I, and Bethel wants to be an actress. She's in a small town. And her boyfriend, Charlie Hatch, 17 years old, says, "Don't do it. Don't be an actress. It's full of pitfalls. You go to New York, it'll be terrible." And that was the scene. It ran about a page. Corwin pushes the talk back and says, "That's it, Kane." He says, "Read page 22. So I went to 22. And away I went. I read, she read, I read. He pushes the talk back again and said, "Kane," he said, "that's very good." He says, "Tell me, what is your schedule the next 3 days?"
There must be something that gets you when you see it all coming together for the first time. Taking form, like something hidden in a fog, and then the mist clears, and there it is.
Now, how could you know that?
Well, I must say.
Oh, Charlie, you startled me.
Well, I must say I'm pretty startled myself. I thought you wanted to be alone.
Mr. Keezer, may I present Charlie Hatch? He lives next door.
Pleased to meet you. Here I am down at the Rex by myself because I'm good-natured, and you said you wanted to be alone, and...
Charlie.
You better learn now. If there's one thing a man cannot take, it's him being nice enough to leave a girl alone when she wants to be alone, and then he finds her with another man.
Please excuse me, Mr. Keezer. He's just the boy next door.
She thinks she's Marlene Dietrich, but she's just the girl next door.
Oh, it's getting late. I think I'd better be on my way.
No, please don't go, Mr. Keezer. Charlie, I do not consider your behavior very attractive.
Well, how do you think I feel about yours? This kind of goings-on may be all right for an actress and that kind of people, but it's not all right for you.
It's better getting late. I think I'd better be on my way.
And it's for you, whoever you are. I suppose she's been telling you she's going to be an actress.
Listen, I am, too. A thermos jug and a little flat and a husband who talks about coffee percolators. That's not what I want. It's just not good enough. I'd go on day after day in this little town with every day just like the day before. Lamb chops tonight and rib roast tomorrow night. And the laundry is ruining the sheets. Do I want to play bridge on Wednesday? Mary has a new recipe. The in-laws are coming to dinner, and tomorrow's another day and another day and another day. No, it's not for me.
Oh, heck, Bethel.
I know it all by heart, and it's not for me. So goodbye, Charlie Hatch. And anyway, those ice cream sodas are leaking all of your pants.
Oh, who cares? Who cares?
Goodbye anyway.
Goodbye. But let me tell you this. You'll never find folks you can depend on like you can on your home folks. These Don Juans from New York, they'll use you and then throw you away like a worn-out glove. Like a wilted flower. Goodbye.
You know, there's something in what he says. There's something about settling down in a nice little home.
No, that's not for me.
Well, I guess you know what you want. But remember, there may be no money and no fame.
Mr. Keezer, I don't want diamonds or my face on billboards of flattery or adventure, anything, but just a chance to act. I want to be an actress.
I think you will be, Bethel Meredith. And that's how I first met Bethel Meredith. I was her first fan, I think, and I'm still a Meredith man. And I was there the night she went on, a scared understudy, to play Juliet, her first major role, on 5 hours' notice. I stood in the wings that night and prayed. But that was all a lot later. Plenty happened before that. I'll be telling you about it.
Through a series of serendipities, somebody at CBS heard me and thought that I would be an interesting addition to their staff. And they engaged me as a director, not knowing that my chief interest was writing. And so I parlayed those talents and became my own producer as well. And in very short time, I was able to latch on to some opportunities that found my programs getting attention in the national publications, Time and other magazines, and there I was on my way. When I went to CBS as a director, I began, for the first few months, I directed the work of other people. I did some adaptations, a very minor character, but I more or less learned the network console.
Thanks in part to his work on Forecast, Norman Corwin's stock quickly rose through CBS. 1941 was one of the most important years in the history of the United States of America. In 1941, Norman Corwin was at the forefront of entertainment and information on the country's most powerful medium for communication. In May, he was given control of CBS's most prestigious experimental program, the Columbia Workshop. He wrote, produced, and directed 30-minute dramas 26 weeks in a row. These plays have come to be known as 26 by Corwin. They range from whimsy to romance to high drama to coming-of-age tales. On Corwin's final night controlling the workshop, November 9th, 1941, he debuted a moving play entitled Psalm for a Dark Year. It was an observance of Thanksgiving in a troubled world. At the end of the psalm, Corwin addressed his fellow men and women of the United States, who all knew they were on the precipice of war.
Sons of men, daughters of the mingled lovers of the many tribes who make us what we are, brothers, sisters by the millions, sitting with us at this table, encircled round us through the far, wide-spreading states. What year this is, we shall not soon forget. Remark it, each of you belonging to it. This year shall skulk among the blackest annals ever, pitied, wondered on, and sung about as long as our posterity looks back to see the how and why of what has gone before. None of us makes pretense to himself of tranquil temper. There are no barefoot pleasures in these hobnailed times. The world is burning. It is burning. Flame is never subtle in its ways. It has a pattern all can recognize. We smell the smoke and feel the scorching air and see the embers snatched up by the winds and blown this way and that. But we are thankful in this graceless year for the strong joy of the challenge, for defiance in the nostril and the weapon in the hand. Shall we despair, who suckled freedom on the brew of vintages of wrath? Shall we be thankless for the passions stirring in our blood, the love of country, of each spine of cactus and each particle of mist? Shall we be thankless for the way we walk, fearlessly, not stealing glances backward, for the way we talk, for scorn and laughter and the clenching of the fist? Come, Americans, come now, and praise the broken bread together, and the fiddle, and the tilling of the land, the bellboy by the shoals, and Joe, the wild boy, getting married to Louise. Praise now October and the Song of Songs together. Praise the men who never shall forget. The steel mills, working through the night. The rifle factory, the weapon in the hand. Arise now, and give thanks where thanks are due.
28 days later, Pearl Harbor and Manila were attacked, plunging the U.S. into World War II.